Audible to all the participants?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. We are going to begin our second session of the day. This will be our last technical session of this FDP. And the presenter of this session is Dr. Peenal J. Patel, ma'am. She is Assistant Professor in Government Engineering College, Gandhinagar, in the Department of Computer Engineering. She is having doctorate degree as well as more than 15 years of teaching experience. And we are having opportunity to learn concept of ROC and model accuracy from her. So I request all the participants to grab maximum opportunity to learn such a concept from this dignitary. So without wasting the time, I am handing over to the expert of the session, Dr. Peenal J. Patel, ma'am. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. So very good afternoon to one and all present here. And I know that today is the last day of the FDP and everybody is now enlightened by this session. It's difficult for me to engage you all up in a post-lunch session, but try to cover it with a very simplified form. Hope you enjoy this content. So my topic is about ROC and model accuracy. So let me start it with the Aesop's fable, the boy who cried wolf.
Ma'am, can you please make your slides in a slideshow mode? Hello, ma'am, you are not audible anymore. Hello. Ma'am, am I audible to you? Your voice is not clear yet.
Now is it okay, sir?
Yes, ma'am. It is
Okay.
audio is
Okay.
clear now.
Okay, fine.
Just make your presentation in slideshow, ma'am, please.
Sure, sir. Just a minute. Okay, so let me start it in this way, right? And Aesop's fable, the boy who cried wolf. So a shepherd boy gets bored tending the town's flock. To have some fun, he cried out, "Wolf, wolf," even though no wolf is in sight. The villagers run to protect the flock, but then they get really mad when they realize that the boy was just playing a joke on
Sorry,
them.
ma'am, for the interruption. Ma'am,
Yes,
your
sir.
slides are not moving.
Okay.
Please, ma'am, reshare it again. So there may be a network issue, ma'am.
I shared it, sir.
Ma'am, please reshare it because
Okay,
sometimes
not
it
an
happens.
issue. We'll share my entire screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine.
Please. That will be
So
very good.
let me complete this story.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Okay, so this is all about the scenario where there were no wolf and boy said that there is a wolf. So let's iterate this paragraph n times. And one night the shepherd boy sees a real wolf approaching the flock and calls out, "Wolf, wolf." The villagers refuse to be fooled again and stay in their houses. The hungry wolf turns the flock into lamb chops. So the town goes hungry, panic endures. So now let us make few definitions of this example. There is a wolf, there is no wolf. So there are two basically classes. There is a wolf, it means it's a positive class. And there is a no wolf, means it's a negative class. So we'll have four different scenarios. First one is there is a wolf and shepherd says there is a wolf. Second scenario, there is a wolf but shepherd said there is no wolf. Third scenario, there is no wolf, but shepherd said there is a wolf. And in the fourth scenario, there is no wolf and shepherd said there is no wolf. So let us continue with my presentations. So welcome to all of you. Today we'll talk about the ROC and the model accuracy. So let me first acknowledge all the researchers and all the persons who are doing the great work. And I am able to present their work over here. So let me express my gratitude towards them. So thank you, everybody. So today we'll talk about the basic terminology of the accuracy, TP, TN, FP, FN, precision, recalls, accuracy, confusion matrix, ROC, and finally AUC. Let us start with a simple example. So let us consider the database of a dog images. In a given PPT, there are 6 dog images and 4 images are not a dog images. So this is basically a binary classification, dog versus not a dog. Now let us say that we build a machine learning model, and let's say we ask someone to make a guess of what these images are. And let's say this is the prediction. Definitely, it will not be a true. It will be making some mistakes also. See, in the predictions, few not dog images are classified as a dog images and few dog images are classified as a not dog images. But as this is the prediction, so we may have the wrong predictions also. Now, so let me put a marks here. If there is an image of a dog and if it is classified or the predicted as a dog, then put it here right mark. Otherwise, put a wrong mark. So wrong marks are placed for 2 different scenarios. First one, there is a no dog image and it is classified as a dog image. And in the second scenario, there is a dog image and it is classified as a not dog images. Fine. So among all these 10 images, 5 images are correctly classified. Fine. Now, let me gray out the no dog images and now concentrate only first class of the prediction, and that is class of a dog. So see, there are 2 classes. First class is a dog and second class is a no dog. So here we coin 2 terms, positive and negative. Positive means if the instance or the image is classified as a dog, and negative class means if the instance or the image is classified as a no dog. So here we are just concentrating on the positive classes, that is the class which is predicted as dog. So what do you mean by true positive? So true positive says that total of the 7 dog images, how many of them are correct? So if the image is a dog and it is classified as a dog, then that is called true positive. True positive means truly the image is of a dog and it is classified as a positive class. So that is as a dog. Now, false positive. So see, among all the 7 predictions of a dog class, only 4 images are correctly classified as a dog. So true positive value is here 4. Now, what do you mean by false positive? Positive, second word means we are only concentrating on the images which are predicted as a dog class. Now, among these 7 images which are classified as dog images, how many of them are incorrectly classified? So 3 images are incorrectly classified as a dog images. So that is called false positive. So we are only concentrating here on a positive class. So that is on the images which are classified as a dog Now again, there are two possibilities, either true positive or false positive. True positive means image is of type dog and it is classified as a dog. And false positive means image is truly image contains a dog, but it is classified as a image is not a dog, but it is classified as a dog. Now let us gray out the positive class and talk about the negative class. Negative class means an image which is classified as a no dog. So there are three predictions of a no dog images. Now let us compare these three predictions with the reality. So two are wrong and one is correct. So what do you mean by true negative? Negative means a image which is classified as a no dog. Now among the three prediction negative class, how many of them are correctly classified? So single. So true negative value will be 1. In case of the false negative, again try to understand the second word, and that is negative. So again, considering the no dog class, and how many of them are incorrectly classified? So that is 2. So false negative value is here 2. Now considering the accuracy part. So this is all about a false positive, false negative, true positive and true negative. Now let us talk about what is an accuracy of this model. So we have given the true images. Our model predicted some values here, some classes here. Few are correctly classified, few are incorrectly classified. So how many we got correctly classified? So among all the 10 images, only 5 images are correctly predicted by the model, whether it is a dog class or the no dog class. So we will not put any kind of the bias here. If the image contains a dog and it is classified as a dog, and image has a no dog and it is classified as a no dog, then we should consider all those predictions here. So accuracy will be here 5 divided by total number of the instances. So that is 5 by 10. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It's quite easy to understand now. Fine. So now talk us about the next performance matrix, and that is precision. So here we'll consider only the prediction part. Okay. So few again, I'm going to gray out the no dog class and concentrating only on a dog class. So how many of a dog class are correctly classified? 4. And what is the value of the false positive? 3. So what is the precision? Precision is nothing but out of all the dog precisions, how many of them are correctly classified as a dog? Fine. So this is nothing but true positive divided by true positive plus false positive. So that is 4 by 7. In the sense, if the image has a dog image and it is predicted as a dog, so value will be 4. And image is not a dog but it is classified as a dog, then we should consider that part also, that is false positive, and we have to add these values for finding the precision values. So precision says that out of all the dog predictions, how many images are correctly classified as a dog images? So 4 out of 7. So that is equivalent to the 0.57. Next is a recall. Again, we are talking about a dog class. See, in both the cases, precisions and recall, both are applicable to the both types of the class, dog class as well as in not dog class. But currently we are talking about only dog class. Fine. So recall says that out of all the dog true images, how many you got it right? It means now concentrate only on the truth values. Forget about the prediction part. Concentrate only the truth value. So among all the 10 images, 6 images have dog image. Fine. So the total dog true samples are 6. And out of the 6, your machine learning predicts 4 correctly as the dog images. So true positive value is here 4. So recall is nothing but true positive divided by the total positive true samples. So that is 4 by 6. The value will be here 0.67. See the difference between precision and recall. For calculating the precisions, we always think about the predictions as our base. But for recall, we always think about the truth images, real images as our base. Any doubt in a precision and recall? It is quite easy to understand, but still if you have any query, then we can repeat it. Fine. So let us talk about the second class, negative class, and that is no dog class. So what will be the precision for the second class? So how many no dog images are correctly classified here? 1. And out of total number of the predictions of no dog classes. So that is 3. So 1 by 3, 0.33. And what is about the recall? Machine learning predicted single no dog class correctly. So 1 divided by how many truth no dog images are there? So that is 4. So 1 by 4. So value will be 0.25. So while calculating the precisions, we are talking about the prediction. We'll consider only the prediction value. And while talking about the recall, we'll consider the truth values. Now this is a confusion matrix. So what is confusion matrix? It is a table that is used to describe the performance of a classification model on a set of a test data, right? For which the true values are known. It is generally used to visualize the predictive analysis, like what is the value of the recall, what is the value of the specificity, accuracy, precisions, and so on. So the basic idea of this confusion matrix is to know how many samples are correctly classified, how many samples are incorrectly classified. See here, we have a actual value and predicted value. What do you mean by actual value? This is the actual value that we want as an output, and predictive value is a output of the machine learning model. Right now, in a binary classifications, there are 2 classes, positive and negative. So now it's up to the developers and the designers of the machine learning models. They can assign 1 to the positive or 1 to the negative. It's up to them. So here for the simplicity purpose, I have taken the 1 for the positive class and 0 for the negative class. In this sense, if image contains a dog, then that is considered as a positive class. If image doesn't contain the dog, then that is considered as a negative class. For example of a spam detections, if email is classified as a spam, then that will be treated as a 1 or the positive class, and not spam email is categorized as negative or the 0 class. Now, what is this predictive value? We build the machine learning model, we run the machine learning model on the input data set, and finally this is the output. So again, machine learning model gives a 2 output, either 0 or 1. So 1 means a positive here, 0 means a negative here. Okay, so what is TP? TP says that machine learning model predicts the instances, or they classify the instances as a positive class, and it is actually a positive class. What is FP? FP says that machine learning model predicted the positive class, but actually it is negative class. FN is nothing but machine learning model classifies that instance as a negative class, but actually it should be positive class. And what is TN? TN is nothing but the data is of a negative class, and it is correctly classified as a negative class. See, accuracy depends on TP and TN. So for better results of the machine learning algorithm, we should have the maximum value for TP and TN. And we should reduce the value of the FP and FN. So FP is nothing but a known as a type 1 error, and FN is nothing but a known as type 2 error. So whenever we run our machine model and we want to find it out whether that classifier gives a better accuracy or not, so you can identify it based on the value of a TP and TN. If you get a maximum values for the TP and TN, then definitely the total value of the, total accuracy of that machine learning model will be higher. So this is all about confusion matrix. See, in the picture, it shows the confusion matrix for the two classes, but it is also applicable for the multi-class classification problem. Now let us go with a few definitions and the formulas. So true positive are nothing but the positive outcomes that the model predicted correctly. True negative is nothing but the negative outcomes that the model predicted correctly. False positive is nothing but the positive outcomes that the model predicted incorrectly, and that is called the type 1 error. False negative, these all are the negative outcomes that the model predicted incorrectly, and it is known as type 2 error. Fine. Precision, we have already discussed about the precision using the example, but what is it? It is the percentage of the outcomes that are positive, right? So what is the formula of finding the precision value? That is TP divided by TP plus FP. Recall is nothing but the percentage of the actual positives that are correctly identified. It is also known as the true positive rate or sensitivity. So value of a recall can be calculated using this formula, TP by TP plus Fn. And false negative rate, which is nothing but what portion of the positive class got incorrectly classified by the machine learning classifier. So FNR can be calculated using this formula. Right? Formula is available. You can get it from the net also. Specificity, why am I discussing all these performance metrics? Because it depends on the type of or nature of the application. Sometimes we need a high value of the recall, sometimes we need the high value of the precisions. So you should at least aware of all these kinds of the performance metrics. Specificity, or it is also called the true negative rate, says that what portion of the negative class got correctly classified. Fine. False positive rate tells that what portion of the negative class got incorrectly classified. And accuracy is nothing but the number of correctly predicted data point out of all the total data point. Fine. So nowadays in a machine learning, it's quite easy to find all these values. Library is available. You just use the functions of the library. So let us see the demo. Fine. How do we find all this matrix? Yes. So hope that the screen is visible to everyone. I have just coded in a Jupyter notebook. So few lines will import all the machine learning libraries. This is the truth value, dog, which we have considered, which we have gone through it. This is the predictions. Fine. How do we print the value of the confusion matrix? Simply use this confusion matrix and pass two parameters here, truth value and the predicted value, and print a value of that variable. It will print all the values of FPF and TP and TN. Fine. Now how do we print the confusion matrix? Over here in the graphics forms, you have to use the matplot library also. Fine. So see the easy way of displaying the confusion matrix. So you can plot it. So this is a true value, predicted value. So hope it is understood, right? It's quite easy to go with it. Let us continue with the presentation. The important part is here ROC and AUC. Why do we use this ROC and AUC? And what is actually the history of the ROC? How does its name coined? How does this term coined? So ROC curve were first used during the World War II for the analysis of the radar signals. So after the attacks on the Pearl Harbor, the US Army began new research to improve the rate of detection of the Japanese aircraft from their radar signal. And definitely they didn't want to miss any of them, and neither did they wish to waste their resources on a false alarm. So they measure the ability of the radar receiver operator to make the prediction, and that's why it is named as receiver operating characteristics. So this is all about the origin of this name and what is the purpose of this ROC. So whenever we build any machine learning model for the classification purpose, always it predicts the probability of an observation belonging to a class. So there are two ways to classify the instance in a given class. In a first way, we simply put the threshold value zero point 0.5, and we put a single statement that if the machine gives the output whose probability is above zero point 0.5, then classified it as a class 1. And if its probability value is lesser or equals to the zero point 0.5, then classified it to the class 0. But this is not a good threshold value for all kind of the applications. Fine. So why do we use this ROC curve? So that we can find the base value of the threshold. So whenever the classification model predicts the probability of an observation which are belonging to either of the class, we plot the ROC curve to visualize its performance. We'll definitely not go with any default threshold value, that is a 0.5. And we'll use the ROC curve, and definitely we'll go with the domain knowledge experts to figure out what will be the base threshold value for a given model. So first use is to find it out the base threshold value for a given model. Second, why do we use the ROC? So when the class distributions in the data is imbalance, what does it mean? Now consider the data set of a size 1 gigabytes, where we have 5 lakh records, and all the records are categorized in two classes, either A or B. Now among the 500 classes, 5 lakh records, 4 lakh and 50,000 records are of a type A, and only 50,000 records are of a type B. Then definitely when you learn your model, it will bias to the instances with a it will always bias to the most frequent instances. So it will always predict the instance as a class A. So that is called the imbalanced data set. So 90% or more than 90% of the records are of a particular class, and the rest of the instances are of the second class. So at that time, your machine learning model will not train the class having the least amount of the instances. So you cannot consider the accuracy as a performance measure over there. And second scenario is like cost of the false positive and false negative is different. What do you mean by false positive? Like consider the medical applications where the patient is having the cancer or not, and we are finding it using the machine learning model. And if the model incorrectly says that the patient has a no cancer, then it will create disaster situations, because the patient doesn't know anything about his medical situations, and the model says that the patient has a no cancer. So whenever this kind of the application needs the correct value of the accuracy, we need to go with the ROC. So ROC will visualize the trade-off between the TPR and FPR, and it will help us to minimize the misclassification cost. Third is the shape of the ROC curve always gives a predictive power of the model. And using the ROC curves, we can compare the performance of the different models. So nowadays we are using the assemble models or the hybrid models, because a single model doesn't give the accuracy which we want. So we always try to combine more than one models for getting the better accuracy or better result. So this is all about the purposes of the ROC. Now, what is the ROC and AUC basically? The ROC curve is an evaluations matrix for the binary classification problems. It doesn't mean that we cannot have the ROC curve for the multi-class classification problem. It can be extended. It is a probability curve that plots TPR against FPR. TPR means true positive rate, FPR false positive rate at a various threshold values. And AUC, the area under the curve, is a measure of the ability of the classifier to distinguish between the classes. So ultimately, once we have the ROC curve, we find the area covered by that curve, and we can use the Simpson's third eight rule to find it out the value of the AOC. In maths, there are multiple ways to find it out the area covered by the area covered by the curve. So you can always go with the integration method. AUC ROC curve helps us to visualize how well our machine learning classifier is performing. Now let us understand it with the help of the example. How do we draw this ROC and AUC curve? So we have given suppose 6 records, IDs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And actual value of these records Y are 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1. We learn the machine learning algorithm, and finally we get the probability of the predictions. Suppose we use a logistic regression, and output of that logistic regression is 0.8, 0.96, 0.4, and so on. Now the based answer is how do we find it out the threshold value? So first answer is generally we use a 0.5. So whose prediction probability is greater than 0.5, we classified it as a class 1, and probability is value is lesser or equals to the 0.5, then we classified it as a class 0. But that is not a good idea. Fine. So what do? We take a different threshold value. So we consider 0, 0 0.2, 0 0.4, 0 0.6, 0 0.8, and 1. Fine. So here we are just taking the fewer amount of the thresholds, few threshold values. And what do? Y caret 0 means we are taking the threshold value 0. So if the prediction probability is greater than 0, then we'll put a value 1. Otherwise, we put a value 0. Now, in a prediction probability column, all values are greater than 0. So Y caret 0 will have the value 1. Now, what is the meaning of Y caret 0.2? If prediction probability value is greater than 0.2, then put the value 1. Otherwise, put a value 0. So 0.8 greater than 0.2, so we'll put a value 1. 0.96 greater than 0.2, put a value 1. 0.4, 0.3 for a 0.2. 0.2 is lesser or equals to 0.2, so we put it here value 0. Similarly, we have to put a value 1 and 0 for each and every threshold values. Fine. Once we have this table, then we write all these threshold values Y hat 0 to up to 1, and we'll find the true positive, false negative, false positive, and true negative values for each and every output. How do we do it? See, for the first row of the second table. Now, what is the first row of the second table? Value of the true positive is 1. Value of the true positive is 4. How is it a 4? So go to the first table. Actual value of a Y is 1. Fine. And Y hat 0 is also 1. So true positive means actual value is 1 and Y hat 0 value is 1. Similarly, find it out the other rows where we have a actual value equals to 1 and corresponding Y hat value is 0. So ID 1, ID 3, ID 4, and ID 6. These rows have actual value Y equals to 1 and Y hat equals to 1. So total 4 rows are having the same actual and y hat 0 values. So here we'll put here value 4. Now how fn equals to 0? Fn means when y equals to 1 and y hat 0 equals to 0. There is no any row in a y hat 0 with value 0. So value of the fn is 0. Fp means when y equals to 0 and y hat 0 equals to 1. Now y equals to 0. So id number 2, second row. So y equals to 0 and y hat 0 equals to 1. And similarly, ID 5, row number 5, where we have a y equals to 0 and y hat 0 equals to 1. So there are 2 rows where the actual value is 0, but predicted value is 1. So FP value will be here 2. Now for Fn, we consider y value equals to 0 and corresponding y hat value is also 0. So there is no any row in a y hat 0 with a value 0. So fn value, tn value will be here 0. Is it okay? Similarly, we can put a values in a second table. For each and every threshold value, we find the TP, FN, FP, and TN. Any doubt up to here? Hello.
Madam, can we go to try this one?
No, ma'am.
Which one, sir?
Two positive, and once again you repeat that step.
Sure, sir. Let us consider the y hat 0.4, right? Third row of the second table.
Yeah.
So how do we find the y hat 0.4 for TP value is 2? TP says that when in a first table, if actual y equals to 1 and y hat 0.4 equals to 1, if both are 1, then we should consider that row. So how many rows are there where we have a y equals to 1 and y hat 0.4 equals to 1? So there are 2 rows.
Only 2 rows.
Yeah. 2 row, 1 and number 6. So that's why it is 2.
Yeah.
How do we have a fn value equals to 2? Fn 2 means consider all those rows where we have y equals to 1 and y hat 0.4 equals to 0. So row number 3, yes sir, and row number 4, where y equals to 1, but y hat 0.4 is 0.
Correct.
Right. Then FP is 1. So here we consider all those rows where y equals to 1 and y hat 0.4 equals to
0.
Sorry. For FP, we should consider y equals to 0 and y hat 0.4 equals to 1. So 0 and 1. So row number 2.
Yeah.
Right? That's why it is 1. And for Fn, if y equals to 0 and y hat 4 also has a value 0, then we should consider that number of rows. So row number 5.
Yeah, correct.
Fine. So similarly, we put a values in a second table. And once we have it, then we should calculate the TPR and FPR using the formula. So TPR equals to TP by TP plus Fn, and FPR is nothing but FP divided by FE plus Fn. So for each and every threshold value for y caret 0, TPR will be 1, y caret 0.2, TPR will be 1. Similarly, we can find the value of the FPR. It's quite easy. Just put a values from the second table in the given formula and find it and put it in the table. So up to here, any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So
No.
yes. So what do we do now? We'll use the TPR value and FPR value to draw the curve. Now, how do we do it? So ROC curve is nothing but TPR versus FPR. Now, how do we do it? What is the value of the TPR for a caret y caret 0? Both are 1, 1, right? So it means y value is 1 and x value is also 1. So here we label all the value of the FPR on a x-axis and TPR on a y-axis. So both values are 1, 1. So the last one TPR1 and FPR value is 1. It is dotted over here, right? Similarly, TPR value is 1. We'll read the second cell, value of the second cell. TPR equals to 1 and FPR equals to 0.5. So TPR value is 1 and FPR, see, FPR is between the 0.4 and 0.6. So we put here value. Just plot TPR as a Y coordinate and FPR as a X coordinate, and put a mark
Excuse me, ma'am.
on the graph and connect all these
Excuse me,
dots.
ma'am.
That's it. So this is nothing but
Hello,
ROC.
ma'am.
Fine.
Can
Yes.
you switch off your video, please? If you don't need it.
Yes, sir.
Your video is on right now. If you don't need it, please switch off it.
Okay.
Thank
Sure. Actually facing some internet issues, so can't continue
issue,
with
ma'am.
my
Thank you.
video. Fine. Okay. Not an issue. So this is what do we do? Simply we draw the FPR versus TPR versus FPR. We consider all the values of the TPR as Y coordinate and FPR as a X coordinate. And once we put a dot on the curve, we can just join this point and we'll get the line. And this is nothing but ROC curve. That's it. Now from the diagram, we cannot say that what will be the threshold value, right? See, for the last 0.11, right? What is the value of the threshold? 1, 1. When TPR equals to 1, FPR equals to 1, Y caret is 0. It means the last point indicates the value for the threshold value 0. So if your application needs high TPR and high FPR, then set the threshold value equals to 0. Fine. But if someone says that I want high TPR, but not high FPR, right? So we should go with the threshold value 0.2. Why is it 0.2? Because at a 0.2, TPR value is a 1 and FPR value is a 0.5. Are you getting it? How do we find the value of the threshold?
Yeah, got it, madam. Got it, madam.
Got
With
it.
respect
Thank
to
you.
the table, with respect to that.
Yes, sir. Now, what is AUC? So here I have kept one more diagram to understand getting into the AUC. So once we have this line, we are just joining it and we can have this area. And using the Simpson's third 8 rules or the trapezoidal rules, we are able to find the area under this curve, and that is nothing but AUC. Now, important part is interpretations of the AUC. What value of the AUC should be good for my machine learning algorithms? So higher the AUC, the better the performance of the model at distinguishing between the positive and negative classes. When value of a AUC equals to 1, then the classifier is able to perfectly distinguish between all the positive and all the negative data points. We all want this kind of the algorithm, but definitely in a reality, we don't classify all the data points correctly. So if value of the AUC goes to the 0, then classify would be predicting all negative instances as a positive and all positive instances as a negative. Graph represents the AUC value equals to 1, which we actually want, ideal condition. Now, when value of the AUC is between the 0.5 and 1, then there is a high chance that the classifier will be able to distinguish the positive class values from the negative class values. The reason is that classifier is able to detect more number of the true positive and true negative than that of the false positive and false negative and false positive. So try to understand here the value of the AUC. AUC should be greater than 0.5. 0.5 means lump sums we have a 50% of accuracy. Fine. When the AUC equals to 0.5, then the classifier is not able to distinguish between whether it is a positive class or the negative class. So either the classifier is predicting any random class or the constant class for all the data points. Constant class in the sense, suppose in examinations, students just filled out the single choice, filled out all the D options. So same machine learning algorithm will do, it will classify all the data points to the single class. So it happens when value of the AUC is 0.5. So let us go with one demo. How do we draw the ROC and how do we find the value of the AUC? So here, fine. So I have taken, I'm just using the library sklearn, fine, for making the classifications. Here a function is used where we can provide the total number of the samples, how many class we required, and what are the number of the features. This function is used to split the data set into the train data set and test data set. So X will be given as a data set and Y is actually the true label of this data set. And what is the test size equals to 0.3 in the sense, for all, suppose X contains 1000 rows, then 700 rows will be used for the training purpose, and remaining 30% means remaining 300 rows will be using for testing purpose. So we are dividing these X and Y into 4 part: X train, X test, Y train, and Y test. What is it? So X train is nothing but a data set which is used to train our model with its correct value, Y train. And what is X test and Y test? We will predict the value of the X test using the model, and then we'll compare its predicted value with the Y test model. Fine. Now here we are using the two different machine learning model to understand the what is actually ROC curve and how do we use this ROC curve. So logistic regressions and the k-neighbors classifier. We are using this classifier using model 1 and model 2. This is nothing but the total number of the neighbors which are required to learn the k-neighbors classifier. Then we fit the data X train and Y train into both the models, model 1 and model 2. Both model will predict the values for the X test data set, fine, and the it will give us the probability. Now we'll use the ROC curve. So sklearn.matrix, use this package to draw the ROC curve. So in ROC curve, what do? We provide the correct value, predicted value, and the class label is 1, means it will now draw the curve for the positive class. Fine. So it will return, this function will return the value of the FPR, TPR, and the threshold. Similarly, we use ROC and the curve functions for the second model. Now for each and every, here what is this? We are also taking the random probabilities, fine, and we are using the ROC curve and we'll test our data set with the random probabilities. Now this C1, what is it? This is a library used for the graphical graphical plots. When we want to plot any graphs and anything, we use this library. So simply now plot FPR versus TPR, and these all are the different options. It's not necessary to use it, but line that curve will be printed using dotted line, and color will be orange, and we'll print this label. Similarly, we plot this second ROC curve and a random ROC curve. Fine. So title, plot title, X label, Y label, legends, and we are just printing it. See, what is it? So actually, this is a ROC curve for we are learning our data set using two different models, logistic regressions and KNN. Fine. And this blue line says that always will have the ROC curve above it. Fine. Otherwise, the accuracy of that model will be very low. So green dotted line shows the ROC curve for the KNN model, and yellow lines shows the ROC curve for the logistic regression. Fine. Now, how do we find the value of the AUC? So we'll use the same library here, ROC underscore AUC underscore score function. And here we provide two arguments. First one is the testing data set, and second one is the probability, which is predicted by both the models, and will print the value of the AUC. So when you write a code, it's very easy to write a code in a Python. Everything is available. So what is the AUC of first model, that is logistic regressions, 0.97, and for the second model it's 0.92. For a KNN it's 92. So here we can conclude that we should use logistic regressions for our data set. Obviously the value of the accuracy is AUC is better than that of the KNN. So what is the aim of this practical is to how to use these functions to draw the ROC curve, and how do we find the value of the AUC using two different classifier. Now, multi-class classifications. Oh my God, the issue is with reconnect. Okay, here, how can we use, or how can we have the ROC curve for the multi-class classifications? So my data set contains more than 2 classes. So here importing the libraries. IRIS data set is a very famous data set. This data set has 3 classes, right? So we are taking all the features of this IRIS data set. Y is nothing but the true labeled. Here we have the test value and corresponding Y value. Total number of the classes are 3 here. Then we learn the different classifier here. So first one is a Gaussian classifier. We are using the same functions, fitting the data and finding the scores and predict the values. Fine. And we get the value of the FPR, TPR, and ROC curve. For each and every classes, we'll get the different value of the FPR, TPR, and we store the ROC value of it. Fine. Then we will concat it. Ultimately, we are concating the FPR value of all the classes over here. Fine. Then we find the mean value of it. Then we find the mean value of the FPR and TPR. Fine. And this is all to plot the graph. Then here again we are just plotting the ROC curve. So how do we plot it? These all are the functions available in the matplotlib library. You just use it. So here the graph shows that this light blue is ROC curve for class 0. Saffron ROC curve for the class 1, and purple is ROC curve for a class 2. So what is the aim of this practical? If your data set contains multiple classes, then we can have the ROC curve for each and every class. So what does it mean? It's easy for us to find it out what will be the correct threshold value to which classifies the class 0 samples correctly. What will be the correct value of the threshold which can classify the input data set to the class 1. So for that purpose, we should go with ROC curve for each and every classes of the data set. Now, third one, where, yes, we can use a multiple classifiers. Hope it is okay. Are you getting it? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, no. Okay, fine.
Ma'am.
So let us go with this example. again import the libraries, create the database with the 2000 samples, and total number of the class is 2 with a different weight values, and a random number generator for the database creations. This is a size 200 by 20, means there are 200 rows and 20 columns, and y value, so corresponding correct label value. Fine, then we split the data set into train and test data set with the testing size about 30%. Then we'll use this ROC curve and AUC curve functions. Here we are using the random forest classifier. We feed the data, predict the values, and getting the value of this ROC curve for both train data set and test data set. Fine, so this is the predicted value. Similarly, we'll learn our data set using logistic regression. First classifier is random forest. Second one is logistic regressions. So for each and every classifier, we get the value of the ROC, AUC for training data set, for testing data set. Fine. Third classifier is AdaBoost and getting the value of this ROC and AUC. Fourth classifier is KNN and getting the value of this. Right now, what are we doing here? For each and every classifier gives a different value of the ROC and predict the different values. So here we are just appending its predictions. Fine. So see the output. All the values, I mean classifier 0, classifier 1, classifier 2, and classifier 3, their predictions are merged and appended in a pandas frame, nothing else. Fine. This is actually the final prediction. So here we are just storing the predictions of the multiple classifiers and their actual predictions, then printing the ROC curve and the threshold value. See, now we are finding the threshold value for the actual value of a y and the final prediction which is made by the 4 different classifiers. Fine. So these all are the values of the threshold. Now find the accuracy for each and every thresholds. Then only we can identify, or we can find it out which threshold gives the better value of the accuracy. So this will print all the threshold values with its accuracy value. So obviously we should go with 0.43 as a threshold value. We choose this value as a threshold value because it gives the high value of the accuracy. If you print this value, then definitely it will print the value in a descending order of the accuracy. Is it fine? Now plot it so that we can see it in a graphics form. So this is all about FTPR versus FPR. Is it okay?
Good. Nice.
Yes.
Okay, so here I think I should end my session because I think I have covered everything. ROC and AUC, it's quite easy to understand, and it is very useful whenever you design your own algorithm, own machine learning algorithm, and want to find it out whether my algorithm gives a better accuracy or not. Fine. So if you have any queries.
Is it the best method or most used method in machine learning, AUC method, ROC?
Yeah. Sir, yes, in a machine learning, see, nowadays you can use the machine learning algorithm in a data science application also. So you can use the ROC over there also. See, purpose of the ROC is to find it out the threshold value.
Okay.
For the
only for threshold.
The important part is this. So when
how is it different from F measure, madam? F measures are there.
Yes, no? F measure, F recall, what is it? So sometimes we want the threshold value which gives the high precision. Sometimes we want the threshold value which gives the high value of a recall. But sometimes we want the threshold value which gives the high value of the FPR and high value of the precision and recall both. Then how do we do it? We go with F score or
Okay.
F recall that you are saying. F recall is nothing but 2 into precision into recall divided by precision plus recall. So
Okay.
if it is simply a harmonic mean, 2 into xy divided by x plus y. So once we have a precision value, once we have a recall value, then multiply this value by 2 and divide its value by summation of these two value. You will get a value of the F score. But when do we
Okay.
go with the F score? Whenever we want the compromise between this FPR and precision and recall.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Then AUC is better. ROC is better than it.
ROC, obviously, sir, ROC is good.
No. How can you? What's your opinion about this? Can we go with F measure or can we go with ROC?
Sir, again, it depends on the type of the application. If you are a bit sure that I only want the 50% of FPR and 50% of the precision and 50% of the recall, fine.
Okay.
So go with the F score. But you don't know what should be the correct threshold value which gives the high value of the FPR, which gives the high value of the precision, then should
Okay.
go with the ROC. It
Okay.
depends on the type of the application or nature of the application for which you want the value of the precision and value of the recall.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Okay, so thank you everyone for attending my sessions. Hope you enjoy it and you got some knowledge from it. If you have any query, then you just put a message. I can share my PPT to you all guys. So
Thank you very much, ma'am,
Thank
for
you,
such
madam.
a
Thanks.
wonderful session.
yes.
Dear participants, if you are having any queries, then we are having few minutes to interact with ma'am. So please go ahead.
Sir, let me ask all the participants to please turn on your video.
Okay.
Let us do it now. If you don't have any query about the ROC and
They have
AUC.
to enable, madam. They have to enable the for
Okay.
video. They have not enabled the video.
Yes, yes, sir. Wait, I am enabling it.
Let's do it
Okay.
now.
Yes, yes. It is allowed now. You
Okay.
all participants, you may go ahead. You can switch on your cameras.
And let's have few group photos also, because ultimately
So you have to
FDP
share
connects
that
us, huh?
share
Yes, yes,
that share you have to disable.
yes.
Then you will get a group.
Ma'am, can you provide this Python, this Jupyter file?
Unshare that. Unshare the screen, madam. Then with all.
It creates a good memory, in fact. Am I right?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, sir.
The share screen you have to disable, madam. Then we will get all the photos.
Okay, sure. I did it, sir.
Yeah, now you can see that.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Yes, ma'am. It is a nice session, madam.
Thank
We
you.
understood a lot of concepts.
Okay, then. Have a nice day ahead.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, so dear participants, we are ending second session here. Thank you very much, ma'am, once again. We are having the last session of the day and the FDP at right at 2:30 p.m. So after we are having long break today. So after this break, please join before few minutes earlier around 2:15 p.m. Okay. So thank you once again, all of you. You all may leave now. Thank you.
So you have sent some link for a feedback, no, sir? We have to give the feedback.
Yes, yes, sir. Just complete that meanwhile. And we are having one more session that will be validity and feedback. And we will guide the remaining procedures there.
Okay, thank you.
Sir,
Madam, sir, on which time?
Providing this file.
2:30 p.m.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Madam will be sharing this file.
Pinal madam, Dr. Pinal madam. Okay, we will share that file from her. We will share all the materials, no doubt. Okay.
Okay. Sir, please send the Google link to our mail about these all materials. That is.
Sir, we will provide all the links of video and material in your email address. We have formed the group for that, Google group, and we will definitely forward it. Okay.
Thank you.
Everything is in process. At the end of FDP, we will provide everything, and we are having a WhatsApp group which will remain live until you all get certificate. So we will have a continuous communication there. Okay.
Thank you.